Try this way and good, son. I've got my flash wings, but yeah. So this is a historical event that we're going through, not just for American history, but also for the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints, and it's something you don't want to be ignorant about, and yet people will. They just don't care, and they don't know why they should care.
That's why I had to chase him down because
And we're finishing up the Latter-day Tetrad. And it's more than just lunar eclipses, as I'm struggling to deal with the events of the morning. The blood moon, as I did in the video earlier, is in the constellation of Aries, and that has scriptural significance. It's a symbol of the fall of the great and abominable church. And so it's interesting that it's on the same day as the government election. Moon is for religion, sun is for government. And it seems like the world is pushing for the lunar eclipse to correspond with government. They're wrong. But evil is in control of prophecy. And so I guess they're going to change it. The Egyptians were wrong. After all these many millennia, they're wrong. But yeah, they knew of this. There's some interesting things that I have noticed over the course of years, because in the 2016 election, I published a book with why I believed Hillary was going to win, and it was because Trump was purposely doing all the wrong things to win an election. He was pissing people off, and you don't want to piss off voters who vote for you. And later I found, right before the election, that we were in the commencement of the latter days, and I went, oh crap, I was wrong. And so the knowledge that we're in the latter days changes outcomes. But that's been Trump's strategy this whole time, is to purposely be the worst candidate ever and play the underdog role, and then have other people rig the election and deny the election, and it's escalated over these elections since then, so that now what Trump is doing is purposely trying to tank the midterms for his candidates, but they've already been brainwashed, mentally programmed to deny the results and fight for a civil war to win at all costs. And both John Oliver and Bill Mayer, I saw their clips on their post-election predictions, and they're both grim but they both are under the belief that there's still going to be a 2024 election, as if our government's still going to survive this one. And listening to the news, both conservative and liberal news, they too are both talking about a 2024 election. It's just in a different manner. Obviously, the conservative media is saying that they're cheering on Trump for running in 2024, whereas the liberal press are concerned that if we do not hold our democracy in this election, that Trump will take over in 2024. And people aren't getting what's at stake here at this election. I noticed in the 2020 election, Trump purposely tanked that one by giving up on Hunter Biden for the October surprise. He had been pushing over and over vehemently that Hunter Biden's laptop, oh, we got him, let's get him, lock him up. And then he stops, he gave up on him. You don't hear him talking about it anymore, do you? Maybe an occasional thing from a commenter on a Fox News channel, I don't know. But yeah, I was concerned about that. And then after Biden had failed to do certain things, I noticed they brought up his investigation again. That should concern everybody. Almost as if Biden, our president, is being extorted through his son. And if you're unfamiliar with the MAGA tactics, then you are unaware that they have compromised the Supreme Court justice, not by putting three Supreme Court justices in under Trump, but also getting in the 2020 election Ginny Thomas, the wife of Justice Thomas, Clarence Thomas, to compromise her husband, as she too also was involved in overthrowing the 2020 election. And now Justice Thomas likewise is guilty of criminal activity as a Supreme Court justice, all because of the compromise that they've got on him. And as I did the video the other day about what the Book of Mormon tells us about the midterms this year, we're going to witness a succession. And so how is that going to work? Well, you're going to have a sweeping vote for Democrats that will maintain Congress. However, as we all are aware, and as MAGA is telling us, they're going to deny the results of the election and start civil wars and all sorts of violence to ensure the election. But they've also made sure since the 2020 election to chase out those election officials for siding with our government and the Constitution. And they're gone now. Majority of them are gone, especially in the key swing states. And they did this on purpose so that they can put in more complicit and compliable voting officials for this election. And this obviously is to trigger liberals, Democrats, into fighting back, standing up and saying, hell no, we are not going to let you steal our government. Unfortunately, Democrats, liberals, are well known for being spineless cowards who don't even do their job when officials are in government. Biden's Democrats had 2 years, and they knew what needed to be done immediately and as quick as possible. But they hesitated, and then MAGA had flipped Manchin and Sinema, and that prevented bills from getting passed. And they slowed down from there. It's not too dissimilar from Biden's treatment in Ukraine. When the Ukraine war started, everybody was saying, nope, we want nothing to do with this. We're staying out. We wash our hands. Ukraine has to deal with it themselves, but we support you. And then finally, Biden gave them the weaponry that is finally stopping Russia and pushing them back. Whereas, why didn't he do that in the beginning? And it's not a matter of asking Congress to declare war, because since Nixon, the presidency has purposely bypassed Congress to go to war against other nations. And we can even go back, because you got the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Congress didn't declare war on any of those. But with Afghanistan, Bush justified it by the hunt for the 9/11 assassin, as he had alternative motives that we found out later, as he purposely lied to everybody and pushed the Patriot Act through, which after Congress realized that they were getting limited, they then had reversed some of those for just their role, but not for the rest of it that applies to us. And so, airport security and terrorist threat, of which the church used against me in 2008, etc. A civil war, if they fail to flip the Democrat won positions to MAGA, and the people aren't incited to a civil war, I see the backup plan of the governors of each state, backed up by the congressional MAGAs, whether the candidates or the actual MAGAs who made it into Congress. I see them demanding secession from the nation. And I doubt they're going to go through the congressional process for secession. They're just going to say, we secede, we're out, screw the rest of you. And those states who want to join us, they'll then form a coalition of states. And so as the 2020 election showed from the map, it looks pretty grim for those who want a free government rather than kingmen running the government, referring to the Book of Mormon. Book of Mormon is prophecy. It is not literal history. And because Mormons have interpreted the Book of Mormon as literal history, they miss the direct warning for them right now. But the map is dominantly red. And so obviously the liberals are going to have to fight to restore their state. And so you'll have pockets of wars in the various states, depending on which side the rebel faction is on. So in California, it'll be MAGA that's the rebel faction, whereas Utah, it's the liberals who are the rebel faction. And people aren't aware of the consequences of America in chaos. The Book of Mormon says that they will appoint Trump as their king, president, similar to the Civil War. As you can tell, I've still got the left eye problem with the contact. And the shaving, I'm itching. But as the rest of the world will witness America descend into chaos, fighting each other for supremacy, I'm already seeing the enemies of our country preparing for this. That once that happens, they then will institute their strikes. Putin, I noticed, is purposely, sending his people to their deaths. He has the technology to save their lives in this war, but he's not doing it. And he's diagnosed with a serious health problem that he's going to die soon, in the next couple of years. And I don't know why America is not covering this more. It's other countries' news that are dealing with this more so than we are. And last I heard, he's now sending prisoners to the front lines to fight. He's already sent the sick and diseased to the front lines to fight, and he's had recruitment. I can't remember what it was called. It was back during Vietnam. My uncle was. I think he actually. No, I don't think he chose to go. I think he was. What is it called? You're making me look this up. Wasting time. Government calls for citizens to become soldiers. Selective service? Conscription? It's not, it's an R word. Selective, the draft. Drafted. Wasn't an R word at all. And so, yeah, he's drafted his own people, to the elderly, to the young boy, and there was that mass exodus of people who didn't want to fight, just like we had here in America. But China is ready to go against Taiwan. North Korea is ready to go against South Korea, and Iran and Saudi Arabia, which is weird because they're both our enemies. As Saudi Arabia is got others in mind. So yeah, it's weird. Of course, Palestine and Israel always. But when we're descended into chaos and we lose state support because of secession, Biden's powers are going to be limited. There is an indication in the Book of Mormon as precedent, because MAGA are chanting it, for the assassination of all of the Democrat officials, that we may witness some assassinations or attempted assassinations similar to Paul Pelosi, to attempt to assassinate Nancy Pelosi. And depending on success of the plot will determine what actually becomes the outcome. But the rest of the world will descend into chaos regardless. Once America goes into chaos, the rest of the world will go into chaos. And Biden's powers to do anything to get involved will be limited because of the chaos here in America. He will have to deal with that first and foremost. And depending on how bad it gets, he may end up having to call on our allies for help. That would be a very dangerous situation if that's necessary to be done. But it's not just going to be abortion that you're going to have to go to a different state to obtain because you got raped, or because of your health or other factors that require abortions. It's going to be, if you are a liberal and you're in a conservative state that's taken over the government and seceded from the nation, you're going to have to flee to a liberal state, and vice versa if they don't stand and fight. And so there's going to be mass migrations, which is what MAGA wants with the succession, is they're expecting liberals to get the hell out of their state. And MAGA to fight to overthrow a liberal state. But the descent into chaos, the economy will immediately collapse. It'll have to be a barter and trade system, because businesses are going to be forced to close. And there'll be massive looting and all that stuff. But let's see what else I have on my notes here. Next attack, collapse, Andromeda, Trump. And so, yeah, what their hope is by overcoming Congress is to impeach Biden and Harris. And so that's part of the worst case scenario events, that they do succeed in taking over Congress. And I'm thinking that they aren't expecting to, because if they have to do it through violence, there will be war, and that'll null and void Congress altogether, as succession will occur. Secession. Keep putting in the succession rather than secession. And so the impeachment proceedings are not as likely to occur in that situation. And but that is their plan, is to put Trump in next year by impeaching Biden and Harris. And they aren't going to drag it on. They're going to want to make it as quick as possible. It'll be a hanging jury. And immediately they're already filed in the House. So it's just a matter of, once the House is put in officially, then they will present it. And it'll go to the Senate. And if they are fully controlled, sure enough, a quick and hasty conviction, and Biden and Harris are out. And then, as I've talked about, they plan to hold public executions of all the insurrectionists, as they are projecting their own beam upon the Democrat vote. And so if Trump does not succeed in becoming president, he's got some problems. He's planning on running for president, announcing his presidency candidacy, but he is going to have some problems. The RNC are going to stop funding his legal expenses. That's going to be bad news for him. I think he's hoping that the Justice Department will back off now that he's running for president, because, you can't tamper with an election. But that's not likely, considering we still have a full 2 years for the 2024 election. But despite his thinking he might delay the election or investigations, there's still a watchdog group that I saw on the HuffPost this morning. They're going to file an insurrection disqualification once Trump files. So Trump's going to lose money, and he's going to have a charge against him to be disqualified to run for president because of the insurrection. And so in any of the scenarios that I've described here, plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc., none of them lead to America surviving to a 2024 election. And that's what the press and the late night shows are not getting. They're not taking this seriously enough. They're kind of in denial that we are at that point of complete and utter collapse. So the church, as I've told you, is already involved in hedging their bets for the various scenarios, as I have exposed what Nelson meant by "in the coming days." He's referring to the overthrow of the government so that the church can then have Utah be the kingdom of Deseret again, Zion, and bring Russians in because they're the lost 10 tribes, and they'll go work in the mines of Bears Ears and mine uranium. But yeah, with Putin dying and purposely murdering his people, I'm seeing that as a different strategy. I had believed at certain points that Putin was the overarching enemy, but with what he's doing now, it's clear he's not. He's a tributary to the greater power over the whole earth, and that would be the church. Those sly little devils. And so Utah will definitely secede from the nation for that purpose, to install the church as the kingdom of God, Zion. And then, everything that they want to do under Brigham Young, restoring Brigham Young's practices and teachings and rituals, will be done, and to a worse degree. You don't understand that the United States prevented Brigham Young from doing all that he wanted to do, as he had to fight back against the government for trying to get him to follow the law. And so the assassinations of dissidents, that's what Nelson was referring to. He was treating me as if I'm in Carthage jail right now, and I'm about to be assassinated in the coming days, overcome. But if you guys think that that's a good thing, dear God, you are the enemy. says, you don't care about other people. You do not love. It's the one and only commandment in all of Scripture, and you can't do it. And so any claims to a God is not the true God of love. It's the God of hate. We all know who that God is, and yet you are in denial. You keep gaslighting the rest of us, saying that, oh no, the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the Salt Lake Temple does not refer to Lucifer. It's not Lucifer's church. It's not the Great and Abominable. Book of Mormon says we're the one true church. Joseph Smith says we're the one true church. They're going to have to get rid of Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon, by the way. They can't keep them. And so, yeah, then the church is going to have to figure stuff out. But as I said, the economy's going to tank. Social media is going to tank. YouTube's gone. You won't hear from me ever again. Businesses, Elon Musk, Facebook, gone. Won't hear from you either. And yeah, that's how bad it is. And then, like I said, there's already election fraud. The news isn't covering it. I covered it. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints tampered with the 2022 midterm elections already. Not just with Mike Lee favoring him over Evan McMullen, but compromising senators and Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch. It's going to be real ugly and get bad real fast. So, hang on, guys. There is a God. I have confirmed that scientifically. And it's thanks to Wilford Woodruff, actually. Because in his official declaration number 1, knowing that he's not the president of the church, because the church was shut down by the United States. So he's lying to Mormons, saying, as president of the church, I would never lead you astray. Oops. But he says that he says that God will immediately take that false prophet. And so how does God do it? Well, death, obviously, but is there some indicator that it's from God doing that? Well, yeah. As tomorrow will be evidence of signs in the heavens. But taking it down to the last day is disturbing me. I don't like that. Don't like waiting till the last moment. If I know something's supposed to happen and it's in the time frame, do it immediately. Get it over with, so that you have the rest of the time to do other things. But nope. And so I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. This could be an indicator for something to come. The various Exodus prophecies are different on this. And so obviously there's multiple scenarios that can play out. But you're looking at the northern tribes, the Israelite Sukkot, Feast of Harvest, Ingathering, Tabernacles, the very next day, tomorrow, or Wednesday. That begins on Wednesday. And that's the Exodus for the Israelites, for the new Israelites. And so something drastic would therefore have to happen tomorrow for Mormons to realize, I think it's time to leave. Maybe we should follow the man like Moses, whom we do not know, and who we've not hearkened to at all, according to the prophecy telling us to do so. But yeah, it's bad and it's ugly. America has fallen. We've allowed secret combinations to control the government. And we were warned not to let that happen. And it happened. And here we are. The consequences of not hearkening to the Book of Mormon and not hearkening to the man like Moses. And so, I don't have a group to lead, so I can't do preparation stuff. You know, Brigham Young, when he had Joseph Smith murdered, he had his group, and then he was able to help with the fleeing the country with sex trafficking and conquering the Mexico territory until the United States came in the next year. So I have tried in 2020 to do some kind of thing of when something happens to know where to go. It's the Green River off-ramp from, is it the 91 or the 191 and the 70? They cross at the Green River turnoff. And after telling you guys that in 2020, sure enough, Fox 13 News Utah dropped my jaw. The waters of the Green River dried up, and we were all ready to pass through on dry land. And that was hilarious, but sad, because Mormons weren't ready to go. They didn't have reserve oil in their lamps. They rebelled against the king, their king. So, what are you guys going to do now? And I'm worried that it's just going to be a free-for-all. Everybody will do their own will under the chaos circumstances. And without order, you're going to have more problems. And if you don't understand that, just watch any kind of horror movie or natural disaster movie. They'll explain human behavior during a chaotic experience when there is no ordered leadership. But yeah, even the Towering Inferno with O.J. Simpson. That one was a little more ordered, even despite the chaos. But yeah, there's a flashback for you. But well, good old days when we didn't realize how evil they were, or evil they would become. You know, you follow the wrong voice, commit the wrong act, and all of a sudden you're a different person, and your whole life has changed. So, yeah, let's end it here. But dear God, guys.